So, I have a group of amazing questions tonight, you guys. I went back over some YouTube questions that I was kind of keeping close to the vest, close to the leather. You're always in trouble. Uh-oh, Blythe. What did we do, darling? I do have weaponry on me. I can't show you what it is. I can show you the top of it, but that's it. That's it. This is just a stick. Nothing, nothing crazy. Okay, this is the third person that we've had deleted messages here. Are we in trouble? Is one that was deleted? I'm good, I hope you are well. Is another? Why was he timed out? Why was Gray timed out? You're half a glass of sugar and spice cider in and relaxing. Oh. So, mods, Gray was timed out for saying, what, sugar and spice? I'm glad we decided to do another test week looking at you, Graham and Erica. So, I went back through some YouTube. Wonderful. So, I went back through some YouTube questions that I was keeping close to the chest, vest, leather, whatever you want to say. And I got 14 juicy questions for you all today. You don't seem to be timed out on my side. I think one of my mods just jumped on it for you. So, I went back through and I chose about 14 questions that were so juicy and amazing. So for those of you who are watching later on YouTube, good evening, welcome. If you would like to be a part of this private patron-only live event every month, you can scurry on over to my patreon.com/lxerotica. And it's been a week, stressy situation, but you're making it. It's been a week. So I think Blythe needs some therapy spankings right now. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. And I am all too eager to accommodate this evening, my dear. Just say the word. So, Gray, I think they fixed that for you. But anyway, went back through, chose some really juicy questions. And they're your questions, my YouTube audience. They are the questions that I went back through for about the last month. I know that I don't always keep up with my comments right away. I try to on the new videos, but, I'm not on YouTube every day. So I went back through about the last month, and I got like 14 juicy, delicious BDSM questions, and I highlighted 9 that I really wanted to talk about today. I'm rearing and ready to go. So we're going to jump into these 9 questions today. I'm hoping to get through as many as we can. I'll be here for a little over an hour. We'll get done what we can, and then we will save the rest for next time. So, not sure if it was too short notice in time. Oh, I can check right now. Although, I might not be able to get into my phone. Oh, here we go. What would you recommend when a couple starts openly talking about leaving the exclusivity? Which early alarm factors should be observed? Why don't you explain to me what you mean by early alarm factors? And while you're explaining to me what you mean by early alarm factors, let me address the first part of that question. When is the right time in a couple's journey together to start broaching opening up the relationship, a polyamorous situation, whatever? So, I would say to the first part of the question, you don't ever open your relationship or start talking about polyamory or the lack of exclusivity when things are rocky, okay? And that's when a lot of couples really start going down the wrong path. Polyamory is not going to solve your monogamous relationship problems. Opening up your relationship is not going to solve your monogamous relationship problems. What will solve your monogamous relationship problems is communication. And a lot of times, couples that aren't super connected, things are kind of humdrum because they're not talking, they're not connecting intimately. Things are kind of boring, things feel stale, whatever. And so one of y'all gets the bright idea, hey, why don't we add people into the relationship? In rare situations, both parties are equally enthusiastic about it. In rare situations. So that's something to keep in mind. Are both partners equally as enthusiastic about this? Or is this one partner feeling bored, feeling whatever, and then they're trying to push this narrative on their partner who might not be very willing or interested in this? So I think unity, I think very, very clear communication, and I think you and your monogamous partner should really be enjoying your relationship before you start talking about bringing in anyone else. Before you start broaching the lack of exclusivity, the lack of monogamy, you guys should be happy together. Things should be happy and fun and playful and passionate. Because if you look at opening up the relationship or stepping into a polyamorous situation as the fix, you're fucking yourself over. Because what you're going to do is bring in another party when there's an element of disconnection and therefore insecurity. So that's going to cause a triangulating kind of situation. Intimacy is going to shatter. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? All the same problems exist in both monogamy and polyamory. Yep. And that's what I'm saying. Monogamous couples who are bored, who don't talk, who aren't intimate, they think that will solve their problem. It won't. It'll make everything worse. You want to invite another compatible partner into your relationship when you and your partner are both secure in the relationship. When you're both happy, when you're both like, yeah, we're content, we're fulfilled. But there's something about this other person or this other dynamic that would serve us as a couple really, really well. Yes, exactly. So I think it's rare. I think it's actually rare for there to be a genuinely effective polyamorous situation. It can be done, but I think it's rare. I think a lot of times it's what Gray is saying here. Early alarm factors, communication is not fine-tuned. Self-development takes different paths, and I just heard mismatching enthusiasm. Okay, so it sounds like communication is not fine-tuned, which means that there's probably a lack of emotional intimacy. There's probably a little bit of a lack of intellectual stimulation. Self-development is taking different paths, so there's not unity. There's not this united vision. And mismatching enthusiasm. So it sounds like maybe you are the one that wants to bring this up. You're feeling kind of stifled or bored or something. But if that's the case, you don't want to step into this. You need to fix your own relationship first. Because what you're going to do to this other person is so incredibly unfair. If it's a polyamorous situation, this innocent, beautiful, wonderful person with no existing knowledge about you and your partner is going to come into this skipping into the flowers, and then they're going to be like, oh, shit, what did I get myself into? It's not fair to them, and it's not fair if you just open up your relationship in an ethical and consensual way. It's not fair to all those potential partners either. So I think you are, by pursuing this right now, you would be doing everyone a disservice and an injustice, and I think you need to get a little bit of patience. You need to use a little bit of wisdom, and you need to start having some uncomfortable conversations with your current partner. Okay, so I think that answered that. Anyone else have any thoughts? Anything they would like to share on that? And by the way, my little bots are telling me that I have a podcast, and I do. It's called The DS Effect. You can listen to it on my website, misslx.com, or pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Sounder. We also got, like I said before, if you would like to join this exclusive patron-only live next time, if you're watching later on YouTube, just go over to patreon.com/LXerotica, and you can join us next time. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at LXerotica. Thank you so much, bots. Okay. Said it better than you could ever manage myself. Well, good. I'm so glad that I was able to relay your thoughts adequately, Matt. Wonderful. So let's get on with about this as fantasizing sort of a buffet. Okay. Well, I think what I said still stands, though. I think that if you are seeing the early alarm, you're calling them early alarm factors. So that tells me that you're mindful enough about what is going to cause this trouble later on, and you're seeing it flare up right now. So you need to use some wisdom, my friend, because you are aware. You are the one that called them alarm factors. I did not. And then you told me exactly what those alarm factors are, which means these are points of contention right now in your relationship. And those points of contention, even if it is complex, even if it is mutually open, even if it is fantasizing, here's something. Women can fantasize about something that they would never, ever, 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 ever consent to in real life. Just throwing that out there, okay? Now, men, you can chime in and tell me if that's the case with men. I have found not so much. If a man is fantasizing about it, he will most likely be willing to, test it out, dip his feet in the water. But a lot of times, and not in all cases, but women can do that. They can fantasize about something and enjoy the emotional response that that fantasy gives them, but in a real life scenario, they're not open to it at all. So that might be part of the mismatched enthusiasms. I don't know the complexities here, but you do need to have some communication, absolutely. So, Polly, your husband is not, he accepts you and your boyfriend. It takes work and brutal honesty, absolutely. And Pandora. No, not Pandora. I'll write that down, though. Well, Erica, write down Pandora. It has been noted, my friend. Okay, so let's get into, that was a great little warm-up question. Love it. Thank you for contributing that. Thank you for sharing that and being open to receiving some feedback. I appreciate it. Thank you, Erica. All right, next question. This one came in from all of these, except for that first one, is going to be YouTube pretty much. So this one says, I'm confused about the difference between a top and a soft dom. So let's break that down, shall we? So you can be a sexual top in a sexual scene, kinky or not, okay? For yourself, you do have fantasies that you never want in reality. Okay, see, so it does happen with men too. I just know firsthand, I think it's more common, a little bit more common with women. I think because women have such an emotional tie to sex, men can, and I think men should develop their emotional connection to sex. But I think it's more natural, and it comes just easier to women, so I feel like that may be why we have a little bit of a little bit more on that side. But yes, it still does happen with the men. So it can be something like that, where you can really respond to the exciting thought and the emotion, but you never want to do it in real life, and that's okay. That's okay. All right, so let's go back to the first question. I'm confused about the difference between a top and a soft dom. So you can be a top in a sexual scene, kinky or not, and not necessarily be a dominant. Now, you're asking, whoever asked this question on YouTube, you're asking the difference between a top and a soft dom. I'm going to simplify your question further. What's the difference between a top and a dominant? Because a soft dom is merely a type of dominant expression. It's a style of dominant expression. So what you're really asking here is, what's the difference between a sexual top and a dominant? And I think you can absolutely be a sexual top as a dominant, but you don't have to be a dominant as a sexual top. And I think a lot of vanillas experience this, because even in vanilla sex, we have an initiator and a responder. We have a giver and a receiver, right? So there is that element, and that's why I say BDSM is everywhere, because DS is everywhere. And so DS is just the natural relational balance that exists. It's natural personality types and energy that exists in every person in every relationship. So when we're talking about being a sexual top, that can still be very vanilla. You can be a sexual top, a vanilla sexual top, and not be a dominant, not be into kink, none of that. No power exchange. That's actively engaging in your relationship. While the person has something done to them. Very different than sub and dom. Absolutely. And so like Gray is saying, the top and the bottom more refer to the giving and the receiving, the actions. Whereas if you're talking about a dominant and submissive, that is more of energy, personalities, and roles that we're operating in. And not roles that are fake, but roles that really allow us to fully manifest our natural personality and energy. So you can definitely be a sexual top as a dominant, but you don't have to. You don't have to consider yourself a dominant. You don't have to take on that responsibility of caring for a submissive and investing in a submissive and guiding them and building them up and learning about the incentives and all of that. If you aren't interested in that, but you just want a sexual experience where you lead that sexual experience, that I would say would be generally the line. Does anyone else have any insights, comments, anything they would like to add? And while I'm waiting, Erica, how are you feeling? Femdom as a bottom. Slave, get over here and do XYZ to me. Absolutely. Great example, Gray. I love that. Femdom as a top. Slave, I'm moving this toy up to do XYZ to you. Absolutely. Very well said. I'm going to go ahead and just throw out what Gray said because he's giving you a beautiful, tangible kind of sentence, a contrast here. So if you have a femdom, that would be considered a dominant, right? And your question was, what's the difference between a top and a bottom, or a top and a dominant, okay? So you can have, in Gray's example, a femdom. That's a dominant. If the femdom is a bottom, a sexual bottom, then she is going to tell her slave, which is her submissive, to command the submissive to do things to her that she wants to receive, right? It's about giving and receiving, like we were talking earlier. And so Gray just said the femdom as the top is, slave, I'm moving this toy up to do XYZ to you. So you can be a dominant and command your submissive to give to you, or you can be a dominant and command your submissive that you're going to do things to them. So that is a very clear difference. Okay. So, I'm interested that you say that you're confused. Tell me what you're confused about. I feel like we had a very clear conversation. I always try and explain things as easily as possible. So was I making things too complicated, Gray? Is that what you're saying? Giving direction versus taking direction. Absolutely. And Gray, I'm teasing you. It was a very lovely, beautiful, easy one-liner. I love it. And Dr. K is in the house. Hey, baby. So glad you're here. All right. So next. Now, I know, Gray, I'm teasing you. I'm just so happy that you're here. Rarely do I get to spend time with you anymore. Because you're off doing your own thing. It's just good to see you. I'm really glad you're here. All right. Dr. K. Okay, let's see. Next question here. What do you do? Okay. So, what do you do if you are He is great company. What do you do if you are a conquer me submissive with a newbie dominant? Ooh. Okay, so I love this because the answer is really quite simple. You have two options. Conquer me submissive who asked me this question. You have two options. Option number one, actually be submissive and wait for your dominant to learn a little bit. Or don't be submissive, don't be patient, and peace out and go find a heavy-handed dominant. So that would be my quick answer for you. If you are with a partner that you love, that you trust, that you value, and this partner isn't currently able to meet you at the level of your desire, and it is a desire. You aren't going to die without sex. You aren't going to die without subspace. Okay? It's a desire. So if your current partner that you love and trust and, all that jazz, can't currently meet you at the level of your desire, what's more important? Your partner or your kink? And unfortunately, I think a lot of people use their interest in kink, or they have a fetish, or they're in the BDSM lifestyle as an excuse to be incredibly sexually selfish and entitled. And that's not what BDSM is. BDSM is an exchange that benefits both parties. Okay? And it's an exchange that benefits both parties. And so I'm not saying it's wrong to have desires. I'm not saying it's wrong to have a list of, here are my kinks, here are my fetishes, here are the things that I really, really want to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you're a conquer me submissive and you want to be manhandled and, pulled around, and your newbie dom hasn't built that confidence, that is your opportunity to actually be submissive. And that kind of brings us back to the last point. Are you actually submissive to your dominant? Or are you just a sexual bottom? If you're a sexual bottom, then you shouldn't have to wait, right? If you're submissive, you wait. You're patient. You help your dominant grow. You encourage your dominant. And you value the person with whom you're in relationship over a desire that you have. And if that is out of the realm of possibility for you, you really have to start thinking about where your partner's value is compared to where this fetish is. And if you have a kink, if you have a fetish, if you have any sexual interest that takes precedence above your partner, it's out of place. It's out of place. Because at that point, you start degrading and devaluing a human being below a sexual fetish, a sexual act. Human beings are always more valuable than a sexual act. And so that would be my answer. If I was your dominant, well, not in this case, it's the newbie dom. But if you belong to me, then I would be like, be patient. Be a fucking submissive. Be patient. Show your devotion. Show your submission. Submission isn't just getting every sexual experience you want when you want it. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes you're denied. What happens when you're denied? What happens when you have to wait? What happens when there's a conflict of will? That is the first and most authentic test of submission. And by being submissive, you'll build their confidence. Absolutely. Absolutely, drunken reaps. Absolutely. If they're new to this, and you soften beneath their level of experience, and you show them that you are sweet and that you're accommodating and that you're patient, they're going to feel empowered to step into their energy and start exploring and growing on their own. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great point. Great point, Drunken Reaps. All right, we're doing pretty good today. Okay, so I think I like the hood. I think we're gonna just need to keep putting this hood back on, because it's so dramatic, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Let's see. All right. So here we go. Next question. See, here's the thing. My hood is looking like asymmetrical here. Okay, that's better. Gotta adjust the little hood. Okay. So, any other questions, comments on that one? Anything you'd like to add? All right. Next, I look like a comic book character you've designed. What is this comic book character's name? It better be savage and amazing, Matt. All right. Oh, you had an ex try to push you into being his dom on his terms, and what happened is he stopped being your partner, and I stayed away from BDSM after that. Yep. So yeah, on the flip side, Blythe is saying when you push, this is what happens. She had an ex try to push her into being his dominant on his terms, and she stopped that relationship and stayed away from BDSM. You were going to say the main character in Assassin's Creed. Okay, so is it assassin? Is it ass? Is it the ass part of assassin? Dr. K, I'm sorry that you got timed out. We're going to fix that. But yes, I was telling my partner that. I was telling my lover if he ever wanted to do an Assassin's Creed cosplay, I'm his girl. I got this. Female archer theme. Oh, nice. I think it was the ass. I think it was the ass in Assassin. You said assassin, and I think the settings are really high. So it wasn't you. You didn't do anything wrong. All right. So here we go. This is just a cute question. Like this is gonna be remedial for a lot of you. So just bear with me. But I thought someone asked me this question on YouTube. They can't be the only newbie to think about this. So I thought this would be really, really good. Okay, here we go. I personally think, see, way to work around the mods, Gray. Bang's head against the wall. Don't bang your head too hard. I still want to be able to get in there later. You're getting the best sense of deja vu from your tie you ever had the pleasure of experiencing. Oh, well, wonderful. I'm giving Matt deja vu. Major Assassin's Creed vibes. I love it. All right. So here we go. Newbie question is, I personally don't understand the point of gags. How is a submissive supposed to use their safe words if they're not able to talk? And it's so cute. It's such a cute question. So those of you who have been in the lifestyle, it's cute. It's remedial. But I think this is very worth covering because this is not the only newbie to think this. So if you ask this question, I'm not teasing you. I'm not making fun of you. I'm not demeaning you. I'm not degrading you or putting you down in any way. It's a great question for a newbie. You are back. Smart answers. You love my smart answers. I'm an amazing trainer. Well, thank you so much. All right. Testing is fun. Okay. So, what's the point of gags, and how is a submissive supposed to use their safe words if they are gagged? Great question, cute little newbie. And I'm going to start with the bottom half of that question, which is, how is a submissive supposed to use their safe words if they are gagged? Well, you implement what I like to call a stop sign. So this stop sign is nonverbal in the case of a gag. And this is something that your submissive can do, a gesture that your submissive can do to stop play. It acts as their safe word. So it can be anything from like holding up 3 fingers, flashing a gesture. It could be even something like a dog training clicker where you loop it around their finger and they click that rather than, being able to speak. Make sure the filter didn't tag it. Way to go, Gray. So a stop sign acts as the safe word in instances of speech restrictions. But that's the point, is in instances of speech restrictions, you still must absolutely have some sort of way to indicate a lack of consent, a removal of consent. So holds on to a ball. If she drops it, that's her safe word. Absolutely perfect. That's another great one. Drunken Reeps is saying some friends of his, the sub holds onto a ball, and if they drop the ball, that's her safe word. Now, I personally, and this is the key with the stop sign, you have to know you're submissive. So for me, if that was my stop sign, I would never be able to fully sink into subspace because I would be holding on to that ball, constantly thinking about that ball, of going, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. I would be so in my head trying not to drop the ball and accidentally cue the safe word or stop sign that it would be in my head. I'd be in my head. I wouldn't be able to fully sink into the experience. So to that point, which is a great idea, but to that point, know you're submissive. Know you're submissive. Dominance, authentic dominance, really beautiful, great dominance that's effective, that's lasting. That's when your submissive feels so seen and held in your energy. They feel held under your gaze and positively scrutinized in a way. And so I think that's part of it, is when you are establishing a stop sign, know you're submissive. Know how they work. Know how they operate. And be mindful of anything that could potentially hinder their ability to fully sink into that space. But I think that's a great idea. So the first part of that question is, I don't understand what the point of a gag is. Well, I think a lot of people view gags differently. I personally view gags in the same category as bondage. It's like bondage for the mouth, okay? So to me, bondage has a very, very releasing, freeing, liberating effect. A lot of rope bunnies, a lot of bondage bottoms, often called rope bunnies, feel very free. And they sink into subspace very deeply and very quickly in the presence of bondage. And some people also view being gagged, losing their ability to speak, as a form of bondage. It can also be considered a form of sensory deprivation. So it depends on how you use it. I personally like gags just because I'm an introvert, and when I want silence, I want silence. And I also think gags could be a great way just literally for any type of play, any type of incentivizing, even punishment. I mean, if you're submissive really is a talker and really feels confident in their ability to communicate verbally, and you take that away from them, it can kind of force them into more of a primal place. So it really depends on what kind of scene, what kind of strategy. There are many different uses for gags. There are many different purposes. It's all about the dominant and the submissive and the context and the dynamic. Absolutely. Aren't blocked by us at all. Oh, okay. So assassin. Wonderful. And also, I just wanted to thank you all who are watching later on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to follow, subscribe, whatever. I think it's subscribe on YouTube. Hit those notifications so you never miss a video. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it and find it helpful. So, here we go. Did we answer that question? You were going to say what, Dr. K? So, can we move on? Let me check my time. Oh my goodness, we are doing so good on our time today, chat. I needed to pin this. I mean, I can pull it forward and then be really ominous about it. But I kind of like the hair still showing. Okay. I think we got it. All right. Let's see. Ooh, that one's going to get me fired up. Both of these are going to get me fired up. All right, buckle up, chat. Here we go. I think this one is the one I want to answer first. This is going to be, I do want to say before I read this question, trigger warning. All right. It's not incredibly graphic, but trigger warning. So if any of you are sensitive about sexual abuses or traumas or things like that, now would be a great time to maybe go get your stuffy, go in the other room for just a minute, and then scurry on back here. All right? So here we go. The question is, I'm already hot. I'm already hot. Here we go. Is consent the only difference between BDSM and abuse? I just had an experience with someone that was a friend that forced himself on me and started strangling me and slapped me and then said it was BDSM, later saying he got off on the fact that I had cried. She goes on to say, I never consented to anything with him, not even sex. He chalked it up to him being into BDSM. All right. Let's tear into this before I tear into something else. First of all, this sweet, beautiful baby girl that asked me this question, I'm very sorry that this happened to you. My mama bear claws are very sharp and very ready to attack on your behalf right now. What happened to you was absolutely wrong. It was absolutely abuse. It was in no way, shape, or form BDSM. And you have every right to press charges, and you should. All right. Now, here's the problem. BDSM and abuse are very different. But consent is not the only thing that separates the two. And I say that because I know. I say that because our society has reduced consent to a lack of no. She didn't say no, so she said yes. And so that creates a very abusive rationale. Because selfish fuckers like this can abuse and then justify it in their minds and say, well, she didn't say no. She didn't, tell me she wanted it, but she didn't say no. And we don't know the situation here. I'm just going to say this. Consent is not just a lack of no. Consent is defined as a completely mindful, willing, and uncoerced choice to say yes, and the ability to revoke that yes at any time without fear of repercussions. Now, it is pure abuse. That was evil. That was not BDSM. Okay. With that being said, That is the authentic definition of consent. Consent is a completely mindful, willing, and uncoerced choice to say yes, and the ability to revoke that yes at any time without fear of repercussions. By that definition of consent, there was clearly no consent here. Okay? But beyond that, there are many other things that separate BDSM and abuse. And it goes down into the psychology of it. If you really want to get into it, let's get into it. The psychology of BDSM, what I specialize in, what my passion is the DS dynamic, because the DS dynamic is BDSM. Everything within the acronym BDSM is not possible without the pre-existing consensual power exchange dynamic of dominance and submission. And I'll prove it to you. First letter of BDSM, bondage. B, bondage, okay? That's one of the definitions in the acronym. In a bondage scene, you have to know who is being tied up and who's tying up, right? Who's the giver, who's the receiver? In order for us to know that, we have to understand who's the top or bottom, or the dominant and submissive, okay? In every single thing that we do, we have to have that established. Who's leading, who's following, who's guiding, who's listening, okay? That DS dynamic is the core of every BDSM act, and that's what it is. They're acts. They're sexual acts. The root and the core, the foundation of all of the sexual acts included in BDSM is the consensual power exchange dynamic of dominance and submission. Now, that consensual power exchange dynamic of dominance and submission requires a few things, such as safety, trust, vulnerability, and intimacy. I say this all the time. Intimacy is the goal. Intimacy is into me, you see. That's what that's what we really want out of sex. That's what we want out of our intimate relationships. That's what we're looking for. We want to be known. That's a human experience. We want to be known. We want to share our authentic selves with the world and be received. That's intimacy. We cannot get intimate unless we're willing to be vulnerable. Okay? Vulnerable in communication, especially. But that vulnerability will never take place unless you trust the person that you're giving that vulnerability to. But that trust can never be built unless there is safety. And this is a sense of safety mentally, emotionally, sexually, spiritually, socially, financially, relationally, safety. So if you're looking for the root of DS, it's safety and trust. Therefore, the root of BDSM is what, class? Safety and trust. So, no. The only difference between BDSM and abuse is not consent. Because consent can be violated, it can be manipulated, it can be coerced, and it could be justified, like this sick motherfucker. It's abuse, it's evil, it's vile, it's wrong. And it is not BDSM. What defines BDSM is that power exchange dynamic. You cannot play unless you consent to who's on the top, who's on the bottom. Okay? And that cannot happen until that flow happens, that flow of intimacy. And the root and the core of that flow of intimacy, first two things, safety and trust. But our culture has it so fucking backwards now, where on one hand, we say, oh, honey, no, it's like, go be you, do your thing, it's just sex, go, honey. And then we promote this, love is love, and it's just sex, and it's just like bumping elbows with a stranger on the street. But yet the converse narrative is the same women that are saying, it's just sex, it's just like bumping elbows with someone on the street. Those are the same ones that get so worked up about sexual abuse and trauma and how rape victims have to go through so much therapy and healing. Which is it? Is sex nothing? Like just bumping elbows with a stranger on the street? Or is sex so fucking powerful that if it's wielded incorrectly, it causes trauma? Which is it? Pick a fucking lane. But our culture has it backwards. Our culture is that, oh, this beautiful, deep thing that can cause deep trauma. And it's a deep power exchange. Sex is a deep power exchange. You don't really have to trust or feel safe with the person. No! And we wonder why everyone's so fucked up, why we're so fucking confused and lonely. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Is anyone keeping track of how many times I've had to put my hood back on? So, thank you, Drunken. I'm so glad that you are at least responding positively. Even if you weren't, I'm not going to shut up. Because it's idiotic. It's idiotic, and yet you think you're so evolved. Grow up. Like, I'm not talking to anyone here. I'm talking to that cultural narrative. Because that cultural narrative allows shit like this to happen. That it directly allows shit like this to happen. Where the baby girl still, did you catch it? She still called him a friend. I just had an experience with someone that was a friend that forced himself on me. That's not a friend. But yet this friend felt so entitled to sex because it's just like bumping elbows. And he's so fucking hooked on the most disgusting, vile BDSM porn that is his level of pleasure now. He gets off to unconsensually making women cry. Yet porn is pro-women? Yeah? Okay. Check your narrative. Check your logic. Might have to take this hood off completely just so I can get some air. Ugh. And it adds to a fear of intimacy? Yeah. I think it just adds to a lot of fear. Just fear. Let's suppose she is a smart lady and she has this question. Has she bought into it and how could she get out? I'm not saying she's stupid. I'm assuming she's smart, and that's why I'm having empathy, and that's why I'm getting so passionate, is because the feminist narrative dumbs women down. So no, I'm not dumbing her down. The narrative is dumbing her down. Don't try to put that on me. I think a lot of very smart women are manipulated. Happens all the time. So, how can she get out of this? Well, I think the first step is seeing your power for what it is. Seeing the fact that you have consent. And consent is the most powerful gift we have ever received. Consent is free will. Free will makes us free to choose. We're not mindless, choiceless robots. We're not victims of some robotic programming. We have free will. We can choose. So what I would say to this smart, intelligent woman is know your worth. Know your worth. Know your value. You do not have to say yes to anything you do not want to. But I think that is part of this narrative that's driving women to say yes to things that they don't want to say yes to. We have like fucking Cardi B up on stage singing about wet ass pussy and calling that female empowerment. No, what is it doing? It's giving the patriarchy, if you believe in that, it's giving men exactly what they want. Yeah, I get to watch a free stripper. I get to watch and get off to this woman. I don't have to value her. I don't have to respect her. I can jerk off to her, and she's allowing it. Look at what she's doing. She's inviting it. The whole narrative is fucked up. It's so fucking backwards. And it's so disempowering to women, to the point that that is now translated over into cuties, which was, I guess, was supposed to get a free pass because it was written by a French black woman. But even that was hypersexualization of children, young girls, who they were doing it to themselves. That's the problem. Women are demeaning, degrading, devaluing, and sexualizing themselves. They're giving up their own power. And it's under the guise of female empowerment when it does the opposite. Dr. K, yes! Dr. K just taking the words out of my mouth. And it's bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. So that's why all of you ignorant little men who have come onto my channel and rolled your eyes, oh, another feminist. No. I'm not, by the current definition of feminism, no. Because the current definition of feminism is feminism equals act like an abusive man. That's not feminism. That is not fucking feminism. So we have to really get this straight here. It is the feminist, the new, current, radical feminist agenda and narrative that is creating situations like this, where the women are doing it to themselves. And she still had the audacity to call him a friend, and that is my point. She thinks that, oh, well, it was a misunderstanding. He's just in BDSM. I guess I should be more understanding of that. Trying to claims this stuff in the media is pro-women, just like there's a difference between toxic masculinity and actual masculinity. Yes. Yes. 100%. 100%. I actually got into this great conversation with this really nice man at the post office. Last time I was there, because all of you just blew it up for me and spoiled goddess. And so I literally had like armfuls of packages and boxes and lovely gifts from all of you. And this older gentleman was very, very sweet. He was probably in his like mid 70s, and he like trotted over and like got to the door in front of me and opened the door and was just so sweet. And I was just saying, well, you are just a prince among men, sir. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was so sweet of him. And then this other guy, who was probably in his like mid 40s, he was coming into the post office as the guy was walking me out. And he made a joke, because he kind of held the door open for me when the guy went to his car. And he started talking to me, and he said, I open the door for ladies, but only to get my one good deed out of the day, or to get my one good deed of the day over with, something like that. And he was trying to be, I don't know, playful or whatever, but I looked at him and I was like, oh, don't say that. And he was like, well, you know, it happens all the time where I will hold open a door for a woman and I will get the most nasty, cold expression. Like, how dare I? And I said, yeah, because she is now feeling offended that you were degrading her and not letting her be woman, hear me roar. He was like, I know, but I'm not doing that. I just was trying to be a gentleman. I was just trying to be nice. And I said, well, welcome to radical feminism. And he responded with, well, I'm so glad that my toxic masculinity didn't offend you today. And ladies, that's what we're doing. Not me, because I don't stand for that shit, and most of the women here. But ladies, that's what this radical feminist narrative is doing. It's stripping men from being gentlemen. We're shaming men for being sweet. We're shaming men for being helpful. We're shaming men for being gentlemen. What the hell? You know what feminism is? I shouldn't have to even come close to touching that door. And men just walk over and open it for me. That's feminism. God. It's ridiculous. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So all of this to say, like, it's very, very sick. It's very sick, this toxic masculinity narrative and the radical feminism narrative. It's very sick. Yes, absolutely. So, any other comments? I know we got heated up on that one, huh? I was on that for 20 minutes. Whew! Shaming men for being gentlemen, yet also following the narrative that men should feel open to express themselves and be sensitive. Yes, pick a fucking lane, ladies. Yes. 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 Dr. K, I could kiss your face right now. Just bring it over here. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. We ranted about that for a minute. I think it was necessary, though. Okay. So, I'll do one more question. I have to pick smooches. Aww. She kissed me back. Okay, so I'm trying to pick a quick one so we can wrap up with this. I think this one is good. Okay, we'll go with this one. What is the difference? And this one came in, to give you context, I did a couple videos, a month or so ago, using bonding on Netflix, Doug and Tiff's interactions. If you haven't watched those videos, it is Guaranteed Ways to Win an Alpha Female and its sequel. I don't remember its title, but anyway, you can go find it yourself. So, the question that is being presented here was in response to that video. My bonding video is about how to pursue. One of my points in that video was to pursue consistently. Be persistent in your pursuit. That's how you show the woman that you want, hey, I'm here for you and I'm going to pursue you. So his question that he submitted was, what is the difference between persistence and harassment? And I think the boy is really thinking this through. If you keep pursuing, doesn't it become harassment? I am afraid of bothering or annoying someone and feeling like a creep. All right. So I'm afraid of bothering, annoying someone and feeling like a creep. So I think this is a really cute question, and I think it's a good little question here. So here's my answer to that. What's the difference between persistence and harassment? A boundary. The answer is quite easy. The presence of a boundary. Okay? So, it is persistent if the woman hasn't told you, leave me alone, go away, fuck you, I don't want to see you again, don't talk to me, leave me alone. And you still go, she didn't mean it, I'm just going to pursue her persistently. No, that's harassment. Because she set a boundary with you. She said, dude, don't come near me. Don't talk to me. I'm not interested. Whatever. We're shutting this down. Harassment is you are presented with a boundary and you push past that boundary. That's harassment. You pursuing persistently when you are interested in a woman is very different. What you're showing her is patience. It's a big one in your pursuit. That you don't have to jump into anything. You're not expecting her to make a move right now or respond right now, or there's no rush for her. That's a lot of what persistence is. It's patience. It's even if I have to go a lot slower in my pace, it's not going to sway me off. I'm going to pursue persistently. I'm going to show her that that's okay. You don't have to trust me right now. I'm going to pursue you. You don't have to be vulnerable with me right now. That's okay. I'm going to pursue you. You don't have to open up right now. That's okay. I'm going to pursue you. And in my pursuit, I'm going to create an environment of safety for you so that you feel like you can trust me and start being vulnerable. That's pursuit. Pursuit isn't, I see it, I want it, and I'm going after it no matter what. That's not pursuit. And that's why it could cross the line into harassment. It's all about the presence of a boundary. And the example that I listed in the bonding video that I did was Tiff, you could tell she was still absolutely willing to engage with Doug. She had not set a boundary. She had not said, leave me alone, don't talk to me, why are you following me? None of that. She was closed off, but she was still like, you can still talk to me. I'm not going to respond to you, but you can still talk to me. So she was showing interest, but she was showing, I'm not going to move quickly. I'm not going to move right away. You're going to have to stay here with me. You're going to have to pursue me a little bit. So, what do you guys think? Did I adequately answer that question? Any other insights? Ladies, I would love to hear from you. Gentlemen, I would love to hear from you. I personally see it as a lot of patience. Clear for you? Wonderful. Wonderful. I don't know, rub or zav? Rub zav? How do I even say that? I think zav. I think I just want to say zav. I think that's what I like. Absolutely. Graham, thank you so much for all of your help working with Erica. You two have been absolutely wonderful. Yes, and your video goes into it very well, too. People should look that one up for sure. Thank you, Drunken Reaps. Drunken Reaps, one of my wonderful patrons, is telling all of you who are watching later on YouTube to go and watch my 2 bonding videos that I did. Guaranteed Ways to Win an Alpha Female. And the other one was after that video. I forgot the title of it. It's there. You'll find it. It's fine. Jets fan, I'm so glad that you're here. Xavier. Ooh. Well, now I just want to call you Poppy. When you give me a name like Xavier, I want to say Poppy Xavier. All right, so I like that better. Anyway, she's a machine working nonstop. You're just there to find the nerdy bits. Speaking of Erica, I'm going to close this out here in a moment. Erica, are you still confused? Do you understand why I made the call that I did today? Just a nice little reminder for you. Who's in charge, and that your job is not to be stage manager, is it? But yes, Graham, she is a cute little machine. You are absolutely right. I am very, very blessed. Think so? You look forward to talking about it? Well, you may go back to our normal address. It was only for the live today. But you think so? Good. You are so wonderful, Drunken Reaps. Look at how wonderful my patrons are. Guaranteed Ways to Win an Alpha Female and How to Date an Alpha Female Correctly are the video titles. Thank you so much, Drunken Reaps. I appreciate it. All right. All right. Thank you all for watching. Look at these bots. I don't know if they know that I'm about to wrap up, but thank you so much for watching this stream today, my beautiful patrons. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube later, again, if you would like to join our private patron-only live every month where we do this. We get together, you submit your questions, we talk about them, we have some great discussions. I might even get into some coaching with you if you're brave enough and you're present in the chat. So yeah, join us, absolutely. 5 stars. Well, thank you so much, Matt. All of your love from England. Well, I love you too, sweetie. Thank you so much. And yes, don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications with that little notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful and enjoyed it. And like I said, go over to patreon.com/AlexErotica if you want to join us for this live next month. Adam, thank you. Thank you for being here. I didn't know you were here until just now. I'm so glad you decided to join us this evening. My darlings, have a wonderful night wherever you are. Beastie, I look forward to talking with you later. And I think that's it. Do we cover all of our business today? I'm the best. You're the best, Dr. K. I love you so much, sweetheart. All right, I'm going to give my peeps oh, James, I love you so much, sweetie. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. We got into some good little rants today. This was good, children. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your presence and your energy and all of your beautiful thoughts and questions and insights. You are truly the best community ever. I have the best patrons ever. If you're watching later on YouTube and you would like to connect with an amazing kinky community, safe, silly, friendly, down to earth, super educational, come join us on Discord. You can get linked up to my Discord on Patreon as well. All right, looking forward in a couple of weeks. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, Graham, a joy as always. Excellent. Well, my darlings, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you very soon. I will talk to you all on Discord tonight, tomorrow, and yes, and I'm so looking forward to doing this again with you guys next month, in a couple weeks, yeah? All right, and we only bite if we're allowed. Absolutely. Graham does growl, though. He'll growl no matter what, and they're good sultry growls, so it's not a scary growl. Graham is Mr. Growls, and he gives you those ASMR vibes. Just drips down your neck. That's what Graham does for us. Adios, everyone. Drunken. Bye, baby. Have a wonderful night. Kisses to all of you, and I will talk to you on Discord. Bye, babies.